Hello, and welcome to this webinar on how to use the NPDES Construction Stormwater Permit Notice of Termination Permit Modification Form. This webinar will also cover an example of how the subdivision registration would work. A change in property ownership or general contractor may occur during the construction process. The Notice of Termination Permit Modification Form provides a means of transferring existing permit coverage to a new owner or general contractor. The same form is also used to terminate permit coverage once the site has achieved final stabilization as defined by the permit. Anytime there is a change in ownership or general contractor for an entire site or a portion of the site, the permit modification form must be submitted to the MPCA. As a result, permit coverage is extended to the new owner and/or new contractor and terminates coverage of the former owner and/or contractor. The new permittees then become responsible for the permit requirements. The form ensures that the proper entities are responsible for the construction stormwater permit requirements. There is no fee associated with the process of terminating or transferring a permit. To find the Notice of Termination Permit Modification Form, go to the MPCA Construction Stormwater webpage. You can find this webpage by searching MPCA Construction Stormwater or by going to the MPCA homepage and navigating to the CSW webpage. On the Construction Stormwater homepage, you will find an overview of who needs an NPDES Construction Stormwater Permit and why, permits and forms, including the Notice of Termination Permit Modification Form, and many guidance documents, including an in-depth guidance document for the Notice of Termination Permit Modification Form, which includes scenarios and examples of when to use this form. The form requires some basic site information to be entered first, followed by 3 sections of which only one will be filled out, depending on the type of action you want to take. The parties involved for that action will sign the applicable areas and submit the form to the MPCA. The form can be used for any one of 3 actions. Select option 1 if you wish to terminate your project because all planned construction activity has been completed and the site has met all of the conditions for final stabilization according to the permit. This option can also be used to terminate a subdivision site that was transferred from another original permit. If you are terminating an original permit in which subdivision permits were taken out, those subdivision permits must first be terminated. The original permit must remain active while the other sub-permits are active, even if no construction activity is occurring on those portions of the site still covered under the original permit. The status of all permits can be found using the Construction Stormwater Permit Search website. A link to this search tool can be found in the Permit and Forms tab on the Construction Stormwater webpage. It is important to terminate your permit once the project is complete and meets final stabilization. If the project is complete, but the permit was not terminated and erosion issues are identified, it is still the responsibility of the permittees to address those erosion issues. Select option 2 to transfer permit coverage of the entire project to a new owner or general contractor. This option gives permit coverage to the new owner and/or contractor and terminates permit coverage and responsibility for the previous owner and/or contractor. The form must be submitted prior to the new owner or contractor commencing construction activity on site, or in no case later than 30 days after taking ownership of the property. The owner shall provide a stormwater pollution prevention plan, or SWIP, to the new owner and contractor that specifically addresses the remaining construction activity. An owner may apply for permit coverage before a contractor has been determined. This can be accomplished by the owner signing both the owner and contractor section of the application. After the contractor has been determined, the owner can use option 2 of the form to transfer the contractor responsibility to the new party. If a contractor finishes all of the construction activity they intend to do while other future construction activity remains, the current contractor responsibility may be transferred back to the owner. This is not a requirement, and transfers of this nature should be agreed upon by the owner and contractor in writing prior to construction. Option 3 is used to transfer a portion of the project that already has permit coverage to another owner and/or general contractor. This allows multiple permittees to work on different portions of a project, and each will only be responsible for those portions in which permit coverage was applied for using this form. In this section, describe the portion of the site being transferred. It is preferred to include a list of addresses, if available, or a map highlighting the areas of transfer. Here is an example of option 3, subdivision registration in action. Johnson Development owns the entire property. Mr. Johnson has coverage for the whole subdivision, who does mass grading. Mr. Johnson sells lots 2 through 10 to ABC Homes, lot 1 to Mr. Do It Myself, lot 2 through 16 to Speedy Builders. Each of these 3 buyers signs a separate permit modification form, gets their own copy of the SWIP and permit. Each buyer is held responsible for the sediment and erosion control on the lots that they control. Mr. Johnson is still responsible for the permit requirements of the streets and the permit stormwater management system. A change of coverage is not limited to residential development. It is important these permit transfers occur to identify the correct responsible entities. If a new owner or contractor commences construction activity without first transferring permit coverage to themselves, they are working without a permit, which may result in an enforcement action, including penalties. For questions or concerns about this form or any other construction stormwater permit requirements, contact your regional construction stormwater inspector. Staff contact information may be found on the Contact Us tab on the Construction Stormwater page.